I get asked, what it takes, to become a world champion, what it takes to be an elite fighter. And it takes commitment, not commitment to just the sport, but like your whole life has to be committed to boxing. And I feel like if you're not working out 2-3 times a day, if you're not doing strength and conditioning, it's going to be very, very difficult unless you have God-given talent to get to the world championship levels, to get to the elite levels. And I think, a lot of people don't understand that some of my fighters, even my amateurs, are working out 2 to 3 times a day. And again, I think that was the reason why we've been successful. We stick to protocol, we stick to a schedule, and no matter what day it is, Christmas Day, Easter, whatever, we stick to the schedule and we never come off the schedule. You have to commit to the schedule and commit to boxing as a whole.
All the training that he has put us through, it's very hard. It's a very mental thing. It's not physically. Like physically, I could do it, but like mentally, he could mess with your head like so much. Like he wants to break you at times. He wants to see how far you can push yourself.
Of course, there's the physical requirements of the footwork and the boxing, but there's also like a mental level where he tests your mental stability. And he'll tell you one more round, and then you'll go one more round, and he'll tell you one more round, and he'll say one more round for about 10 more rounds, and you just have to get over the fact of thinking, okay, I'm almost done, and just push yourself and will yourself to keep going no matter what. There's also the schedule that he has. All the boxers keep a really tight schedule and a very consistent schedule, no matter if it's sun, rain, snow. You're supposed to be here and you're supposed to show up, not only for you, but if you're a sparring partner for somebody else, they're going to rely on you, and so you need to be here.
Rick he does all these, plays mind games with you that will actually make you better as opposed to making you worse, but it kind of depends on how you get through it. If he tests you and he pushes you, he's trying to see if he can break you, or if you are going to break. And if you don't break, it makes it to the next level. But as you would know if you've been around here, if you do break, you won't still be here. So I think he plays a very major role in nobody missing practices. It's a sin to not be here on the day you're supposed to be here. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. Get back on defense, body. Too tall. I'm down with that. You gotta get there quicker, man. Commit to the whole combination or else you're gonna get touched. Yeah, like that. Go. Touch the body though. Slow her down. Come on, you need to get this timing right. One of the biggest things I think I look for in a fighter, any fighter, guy or girl, is the mental. Will they show up if there's a blizzard? Will they cut out if they leave the gym early because they have a date? Or will they go the extra round when they think they can't? Those are the things that I try to press my fighters to do. I want to know who comes in early. I want to know who stays late. When it's at the gym, if you go every rep super hard, super fast, I think if you practice hard and fast, you fight hard and fast. If you practice slow and you cut corners, you're gonna fight slow and you're gonna cut corners in the fight. And so a lot of this stuff is mental for me. I will push my fighters to what I think is the breaking point, and I want to see how they react.
Is it when I step over?
Step over, left overhead. I'm on top. Let's go. Come on. That's it. I definitely want to create the safe space. Somewhere where my fighters can, come, feel safe, and have the team camaraderie. The camaraderie is huge because at the end of the day, you might question yourself or you might quit on yourself, but a real teammate, and if the camaraderie is strong, you'll never quit on your teammates. You'll never quit on the people who've been there for you the whole time. So you might quit on yourself, but if the camaraderie is strong and if the teamwork is in place, I don't think you quit on your teammates. And I think that I know for a fact that some fighters, when they didn't think they can go another round in a fight or take a fight or do something, they wouldn't give up on the team, on me. And I feel like that is huge. I think in tough fights, when I see a kid struggling and they look at their teammates and they're like, yo, I'm not going to be the first one to lose. They work harder. They work harder. They won't quit. And I think that little bit, that little bit more that they're willing to put in, I think is all the difference in the world.
I mean, Rick is more than just a coach. I mean, he's I consider him part of my family. I mean, he's a family that I chose, not obviously blood related, but a family I chose. And he's taught me so many different things. I mean, he's literally watched me grow up. He's always been like, giving me the right direction where I should go.
My goal isn't just to be a professional boxer. From here, I want to move on to sign fighters and to train fighters. And I've learned a lot being under the wing of Rick Ramos. He showed me, how to train people, how you talk to them in the corner. And I've tried to use those whenever I'm cornering amateur boxers and just trying to find my own style. And so I've learned a lot about training from Rick. And the business side is kind of crazy. There's so many different things that you have to deal with. And he's really showed me how to keep my eyes open and, not to jump at anything and to take your time and be patient with everything that you're working with. I always have him as my second pair of eyes, but I'm definitely still learning on the business side. You really have to take control for your fighter. He's the person that everybody has to go through. He's the person that says yes or no at the end of the day, of course with my consent. But he showed me that being transparent is probably one of the most important things between a manager and a boxer or a trainer and a boxer. You can't hide anything. You can't, have secrets. You can't lie or fluff things up or down one way or the other. It has to be completely transparent, and that's where your trust and honesty just really shines through.
I've come to learn that I need to manage everyone I train. I've tried to manage fighters I don't train, and I feel like they don't have the same mindset. Some of the coaches, they manage their guys, and they take fights that they probably shouldn't take, that they're 2 fights too early for. And normally it's because, somebody's got to pay their mortgage, or someone's got to pay their rent, or somebody's babies is due and they have to earn. So, and I get it, it's totally understandable, but I don't manage fighters for money. Hopefully I never get to that point where I need the money so much. So I think me having a career outside of boxing, being able to make money outside of boxing is beneficial to my fighters, because I don't have to take fights too early. I don't have to take the first offer that is thrown at us. We've turned down 6-figure video game deals. We've turned down 6-figure fights because it just didn't feel right. And I think if I was broke, I think if some of my fighters were broke, we would have taken those deals before they even got to 6 figures. So I think it's very, very important to make sure you love something and love what you do. And I think all the decisions are easy. I think if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. So I think that is very, very important, and that's a very big component into the reason why my team is successful. I have a camera crew, I have photographers, I have strength and conditioning team. Like, I think back in the day in the Chicago boxing scene, it was one guy who used to do everything. I think those days are completely gone. I think you need a team to be successful. For me, like I told you, I have 4 lawyers, photographer, videographer, strength and conditioning team, a guy who just wraps hands, a guy who just does cuts. Like, everybody specializes in their one thing. And if everybody is the best at their one thing and everybody does only one thing, then sky's the limit. And I feel like I've built a team that is the best in the Midwest, and hopefully, we get to be the best in the world, and that's what the whole goal is.
I appreciate the rigidness of the structure. Like, you have to be here at this time, you need to do this, this, and this. We're all responsible for different things, and we have other responsibilities outside of the gym, but gym first is the thing that he always tells us, and that's pretty much one of the biggest things. And I think that's why we are in the position we're in now.
My very first fight, and I got done after the first round, and I guess I wasn't doing too great or whatever, and he just what the fuck are you doing? His pep talk is just wake the fuck up, and it's just ever since then, it's always kind of something along those lines in my fight corner, or whenever I'm coming back after a round, he always has to tell me something, and it gets me going a little bit more. It's not oh, calm talk. No, he's a very aggressive person when it comes to this.
Rick's corner work has always been just something that he's really put a stamp on. When I first came to Body Shot in 2013, I told him that Muhammad Ali won the Golden Gloves in Chicago, and I wanted to win the Golden Gloves in Chicago. And, you know, we had a couple of fights, and we got to the Golden Gloves tournament. And in the last round of, I think, the last fight, the end of the tournament, you know, winner takes all, he said, you know, you wanted to be on the same list as Muhammad Ali, right? All right, well, this is your chance. And ever since then, he always kind of has this thing that he says, the last round, and it's just, it gets everything you got in you to push forward even more.
But listen, you gotta make sure this is fucking sealed. You understand what I'm telling you? Dig down deep. You got 2 minutes for me? Okay. Listen, there's $1 million sitting across that ring. You beat her, we get $1 million. You understand? You want to change your life? Now's the fucking time to do it.
You know, I think Chicago boxing as a whole, I think they had this mindset in the past of, yeah, I want to step in the ring with the biggest names. Yeah, I fought the biggest names. You know, that's kind of good to a point, but you know, I think what they lacked, in my opinion, was strength and conditioning, business-minded people, and I also think that like they were okay with just getting in the ring with these guys and these big names and these whatever. And I'm not okay with that. I want to beat the biggest names. I want to be the biggest name, and I want to be a part of history. I'm thinking history. I'm thinking Hall of Fame. I'm thinking the best coach in the world. I mean, Chicago is so small in the big scheme of things, and Chicago, in my opinion, isn't even respected on a global level, not even on a national level. And I want to change that. And it's not going to take just me. Like, I need other coaches to step up and implement rules and stick by them, you know, no matter who the fighter is. Because if it's a natural fighter and he's great and he's the biggest puncher, he's the best athlete, if he's slacking off here and there, eventually they fail. And I know some of the best amateurs that ever came out of Chicago, they clowned around early in their pro days, and you know, they were 4-0, 3-0, 5-0, 6-0, and then they started slacking, and then they started posting social media stuff that wasn't necessarily true, and then they got a girlfriend, and then they got this, and then they got that, and then they got the jewelry, then the car, and the next thing you know, they lose their next fight. So I think, you know, if you don't implement those rules, and coaches, like if you don't stick to those rules, you know, that's a recipe for disaster. So again, if I can lift up the Chicago scene one fighter at a time, I will, and I'm not going to come off of, you know, my structure. I'm not going to come off of the things that I believe in. I think Chicago boxing needs a facelift, and you know, and I'm the surgeon.